My name's Jill Witecki. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Tampa Theater. All of us who work here realize how important what we do is, that we are all part of a story that has been going on at this point for 90 years, and that we are entrusted in the care of this amazing building. They don't make theaters like this anymore. Back in the 20s, it wasn't uncommon to have 3, 4, 5 movie palaces in a downtown area. But now, almost a century later, most cities are lucky to have one left. And Tampa is incredibly lucky to have Tampa Theater. And they were very smart to have saved it back in the 70s when we too could have faced the wrecking ball just like so many others. As the Director of Marketing here, my job is to tell Tampa Theater's story. And it's amazing to me how many people I run into on a daily basis that have lived in Tampa their entire lives and have never been to Tampa Theater. So part of the challenge is figuring out how to make a 90-year-old theater relevant to people today. Especially when you can sit down and watch a movie in your living room on Netflix, you can watch it on your telephone at a stoplight if you want to. How do you convince somebody that coming to an antique building to watch a movie with your community, with the friends and family and the other people in your neighborhood, really truly is an experience that is worth having? And especially with a place like Tampa Theater, where we host 600 events a year. We are one of the most heavily utilized historic theaters in the nation. And so how can you possibly tell everybody everything that's going on here? With 600 events a year, the challenge is figuring out how to get that word out. How do you tell the story of 600 things in a year with such limited time and with such limited resources? And the trick, I think, is to find those pockets of people who are really passionate about Tampa Theater, and they become our best advocates. We have a fantastic member base that is several hundred members strong. We have our board of directors that's 28 people in the community who love this building more than anything and dedicate their time to it. So we have our website, we have our social media outlets, we have the traditional advertising that you think of, but the key is really finding those fans and friends in the community who love what we do, who love what we're all about, and who will help us tell our story. One of my favorite things I get to do here at Tampa Theater is lead our balcony to backstage tours. Twice a month, we invite groups of the public in to tour the entire theater. It's about a 90-minute experience where we walk through the entire building. We take them downstairs into our basement, which is our backstage area. We talk all about the history of the building, all about the history of the architect. We talk a little bit about the movie industry and how it has changed over the century, because what was happening in Hollywood back in the 30s and 40s has directly impacted what happened to those theaters and what still happens in those theaters today. So we're able to tell the entire story of this building and why we're the only movie palace left in Tampa. And then we're also allowed to have a little bit of fun with it. We tell some of the ghost stories of Tampa Theater. We are regarded as one of the most haunted buildings in Tampa, and so on those tours, we definitely tell some of the ghost stories and get people interested in that as well. But we offer them twice a month as often as we can. I lead some of those tours, our CEO leads some of those tours, and we come close to selling them out pretty often. People are very interested, especially when they've got friends and family in town, maybe for the first time, who have never been to the building. It's a great way to come get an introduction to Tampa Theater and hopefully come back then again for some more of what we do. There are so many things that make Tampa Theater unique, but one of the things that makes us incredibly unique among historic theaters is the fact that we still have our original Mighty Wurlitzer theater organ. And actually, when I first started working here, I made the mistake in a press release of just calling it the Wurlitzer organ, and I was corrected that no, 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 this is the mighty Wurlitzer theater organ. We had to be very specific, and it truly is. It is such a magical instrument, and the fact that it's still here in its original home after 90 years is incredible. You just don't see that very often. And because we still have it, of course, we want to show it off as often as we can. So not only do we have a few times a year where we still do silent movies. Back when we opened in 1926, we were a silent movie palace, and that's why we even have the Mighty Wurlitzer. So we still like to showcase that aspect of it, and we have a guest organist who comes in and plays those silent films a few times a year. But a few times a year isn't enough. We need to show it off more than that. So we have a corps of volunteer organists who come in every single night. Every single film we show here, we have a volunteer organist that will come and do a 15 or 20 minute pre-show that kind of forms that opening act, the overture before the film. So those guests, even if they're just coming to see a modern film, they may not even know what they're in for. But before the curtain goes up, the Mighty Wurlitzer rises out of the stage and gives them that little taste of 1926 that makes Tampa Theater so special. When we talk about coming to Tampa Theater, we talk about the fact that it's not just coming to a movie. You're buying a ticket for an experience. There are so many ways and so many platforms on which you can watch a movie these days. You can dial up Netflix on your television at home. You can watch a movie on your phone, on YouTube. But there is something so special and so magical about coming to a movie theater, coming to a movie palace, and sitting with hundreds of your friends and family and community members and sharing that experience on the big screen as a community. Even the Cineplexes now, they show great movies and you can see the newest blockbuster there, but the personality is gone. But when you come into a building like this that has 90 years worth of stories and memories that have been collected in these seats and collected on this stage and on this screen, that's how this art form originated. That's what the creators of the movie industry envisioned when they were bringing these stories to the big screen. And so certainly if you've never had the opportunity to see a movie in a movie palace, you have to do it. Come here to Tampa and do it. Go to your local movie palace, find your local independent cinema. These are the places that are keeping that art form alive. We've been doing it for 100 years. Collectively as an industry, we will do it for 100 more as long as the community continues to support these beautiful independent theaters and historic movie palaces.